Hello everyone, and welcome to my home race. This is of course Silverstone in Great Britain, and it's Apex Racing League, and I'm driving my Williams. So jumping straight in then, we're on the warm-up lap for quali. As you can see, it is lightly raining. The track is damp, but I've gone out on options because I think it's going to continue to rain. So I thought get out a lap out quick while I just about can on dry tyres, and hopefully smash those that haven't done so or have gone for wets. There is a few people that have gone for intermediates for this first lap, so here we go then, so going straight for the lap. Not using any curves on that final corner, too much of a risk really. Couldn't quite manage it. Gone to Rich now then. DRS is wide open. Taking it very cautiously, my best. Well, on primes, my best was a 29.1 in qualifying, and with a potential 28.1 on options. So that is the theoretical best lap, but you can only see visually I'm taking it very easy on this lap. Look at it. Of course, I'm being cautious because of the wet, but I'm also being cautious because I'm aware that I need to get a lap, and even shutting my DRS on that left-hander there, usually easily flat. But yes, I'm cautious that I need to get a lap in, because if this is my shall I start that again? If this is my one and only lap, I do of course need to get a fantastic lap in. Well, not a fantastic lap in, just any lap in, to be honest. Because of course, if I'm 3 seconds off where I should have been because I went round massively wide, and this is our only lap, I'll probably be in last place. So just in case, like I think it is, I think it's going to get wetter and wetter. I think it's going to be it, as I have to be very, very late on the throttle there. A bit why I missed my apex. Of course, I don't know the conditions of this track. I don't know how wet it's going to be. I'm effectively driving blind. I've only had the out lap when I was trying to warm my tyres. It's very tricky. As we now use the rest of my curves, DRS is wide open. Then a 13.5, not a great lap, not a great time at all. I believe it's a low 12 was a good time on primes in. Was it less than that? I can't remember. I think it was less than that. I can't remember. I think it might have been a 0.6, 6 actually. 1 minute 6.4 or so was a reasonable lap. So it's not looking like a great lap so far then. Just show my DRS there once again for that fast right-hander. It's a 39.4, so yes, over 10 seconds off the pace I was doing. But going for a second lap now then. Pushing harder this time. I know where the grip is a bit more. Don't know if it's going to work out, but I'm certainly going to try it. If not, I'll just put into pits in this lap. As Onage now goes fast as a 37.8. So quite a bit up on me actually. Decent lap from him. I can tell you that he is on intermediates now. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. I thought everyone was on options, to be honest. But no, he went out on intermediates. I actually managed to keep my DRS open for that last corner, so it's looking better. Let's see if I can maintain the speed. So first sector then, I am up 4 tenths up myself, and also a tenth up on Onage, so it's looking pretty good. Looking good for a certain big improvement, but it's definitely still not a lot of grip at all. Really struggling for grip. DRS open now though. For the run to the first corner, or no, rather the old first corner, what it used to be. Fantastic corner really. Yeah, so once again now for these fast corners then, so I need to try and improve my lap if I can. Fingers crossed. Coming now, one more corner really. This corner's the only corner, this next corner is a flat out corner. Easily full throttle, even in the wet conditions. Kink to the left, and yes, I'm up, but down on Onage now, 7 tenths, so I gained a further 3 tenths in the middle sector, but lost about 4 tenths to Onage, so he's done a very good lap as I completely missed my apex now though. I think this track's getting wetter now in this particular part. You can see it is still raining. DRS is wide open then. Further into the final corner, to get all slowed down, which I've just about managed to do, but absolutely no. There's less grip, and a bit of oversteer as well. Trying to get to the line desperately, and I actually lost time in that final sector. Second down on the Onage then. So I've come in, done an out lap on inters, and I'm now going for a lap. See how I get on then. Of course I won't get DRS though, since I'm on wet tyres, but let's see if I can beat it. I'm still in second place, so it's not too bad. But the track is in similar conditions really to what it was. That's all we're a little bit wide there though. We get some grass on my tyres, don't want to be doing that. Well, looks like the rain's eased off, doesn't it? Can't see many rain droplets at all. I think it stopped raining. There's only 4 minutes left. That's enough to get back in and put some dry tyres on if I need to. But let's see how this first sector's gone then. It looks reasonable. Certainly not going to smash the time, but I might just about be able to beat it. We'll see. Just making sure I'm still on rich mixture then. Coming to the end of the first sector. 6 tenths down. So no, absolutely not happening. So I come into the pits at the end of that lap. Come back in for a set of the option tyres. And this feels like almost dry grip. Let's see then. So yes, I'm using DRS and some curves all around there, and just shut my DRS briefly, just like I would do in normal quali. So this is pretty much full grip now, as Mikey does a 30.4, so a lot up on my time after 38.9. So over 8.5 seconds it is up on me, but I've just about almost the last guy across the line, not quite, but the penultimate guy across the line really, so it's looking good. Let's see then, coming down this long straight, I believe it's Wellington straight. Coming into this next corner then, 2.3 up then, wow, 2.3 up my previous, 0.3 up on Mike for pole, so it's looking good. It's purple, fastest of anyone. But of course, there's a lot more people ahead that are doing the exact same thing. I'm currently in 6th. So Zunaki gets out of the way there. Currently in 6th, but that'll all change, of course. This last lap will be the one that counts from over 2 seconds up. First sector alone. Certainly, we're going to change around a lot. So I need to make sure I get this lap in. Be a little bit cautious. Of course, I still don't know where the grip is. It's still raining. Look around here. I don't really know where the grip is. But I've still got to push. But also make sure I don't make a mistake. If I cut a corner now, we'll go off the track, that's it. I'm probably going to be in virtually last place, but I'm still up. 6 seconds almost up on myself. 3.5 up on Mike there. So it's looking good as I miss my apex though. That's okay, get the power very early. DRS is open then. They're into the final corner. Orange has gone fast on a 29.5. Probably not going to be able to beat that, but we'll see. We might have had a fantastic final sector. Let's see. Pushing very hard still, as you can see there. DRS is open now for the run around the final corner to the line. What's it going to be? Not quite. Managed to get 3rd place there, it's not bad at all. 0.6 off Ownage, so quite a big gap there, but just about managed to pick Christian there, look, by a couple of hundredths. But that's okay. For less than that, 100th. But 3rd place is okay, I'm happy with that. I can tell you we did a false start as well. We had a bit of a mass disconnect. We did quali, and I was actually down in 6th or 7th or so. It was not a great quali for me at all. And yes, then luckily for me really, about 3 or 4 people disconnected, so we restarted. So this is the second coming of Silverstone. So it's been a much better quali for me. Let's hope the race is better. So this is my setup then. Once again, I won't bother reading it out. Not really even anything to pick up there. And then with these options, pitting on lap 10, I'm going for cautious fuel. So one thing to note is the front left does wear quite heavily on this track. I did experiment with some tyre saving setup, but just found I lost too much time with it. So stuck with a quite aggressive setup. So we'll see how it plays out. Here we go then, so 3rd on the grid. Victor's in 2nd, Christian's behind me then, so we've got 4 lights, 5 lights building up the revs now, and here we go then, so only just got a bad start already, you can see that. Doing a terrible job minimising wheel spin there, and oh, they come together ahead there. They both just want the same bit of track, they didn't quite work out, as I'm now alongside Orange almost, can I quite get him? No, I had to ease off the throttle a bit, don't want to be pushing him off the track, because I'm going to go up the inside now, he's gone to the outside, so can I make up the inside? Not quite, I think he managed to stay ahead. That's okay, going to be outside for this next corner, oh, he comes across there, gives him a bit of a shove. Didn't actually touch me, but I had to take avoiding action a little bit. He surprised me there how much he come across, but now Christian has managed to get up the inside of me, he's well alongside me. And I'm on Rich now, using a bit of my curves, and looks like because of the slipstream ahead, I've managed to stay ahead of Christian there. Which is a little bit fortunate. Well, it's not fortunate, because I believe Ownage did that on purpose. Of course, being my teammate, he wanted me to stay ahead of Christian. But yeah, that certainly worked out nicely for me. I actually didn't use all my curves, because I pretty much gave up on that position. I realised he was going to be the inside for the next corner, and that was going to be it, but because of the slipstream I managed to pull ahead. So he just ran a bit wide, that's when I was close wetting him. Right in this slipstream then, still on Rich, I'm going for cautious fuel so that I can run, I forgot to mention, it's 80% chance of rain in the race. 80%, so it's going to rain really in this race, probably for 80% of it, to be honest. That's generally how that system works. So it's going to rain for a lot of the race. So I figured I'll go on cautious and stay on Rich for the whole first few laps until it's raining. Then I should have used my fuel and go to standard, so I'm going to be pushing very hard, trying to get up to 1st place then, fingers crossed. Let's see if I can do it. So I'm very close to Ownage now, so it's looking good. I'm just trying to get the slipstream, which I am now, nicely. Only a few tenths behind, I should imagine. 7 tenths, that sounds like a lot for what it is. I think it must be less than that. Sometimes the gap does get glitched between me and Ownage. Oh, as I run a bit wide there, get some grass on my tyres, but shouldn't cost me too much time. Just have to brake a little bit cautious into this corner, which I have done, and I should get around there okay. So still plus 5 laps of fuel then, so plenty of fuel left. So not too worried about that. I am going to stay on Rich, as I said, until it rains really. And fun enough, me and Ownage did a practice race before this league race, and weirdly it was also 80% chance of rain, and it rained on about lap 5, and it started fairly light, but quite quickly went through to intermediates, then wets in the space of about a lap. So I'm well aware of that, and I did actually manage to pull off a good strategy there and overtake Ownage by about 20 seconds. So of course I smashed that race. Didn't actually complete it, but I would have smashed it. So fingers crossed I don't do that. Of course, my strategy has not been the best in the last couple of races, really. Of course, in Valencia I got taken out, but my strategy wasn't the best there. Spain, my strategy was pretty horrible. Got a bit saved by a safety car. Certainly wasn't the best strategy there. So let's hope if it does rain here, I can improve it. So 1.3 to Onish now, so he's managed to pull the gap out a little bit, unfortunately for me. But 1.3 to Mikey behind, and I forgot to mention actually, but Christian made a mistake. Actually, I think he might have... No, I think he ran into the first corner. We'll come into it now. He turned in too early, hit the wall, lost his front wing, much like Onish did last year if you've been subscribed to me for a while. As we now flip to lap 5, going to be lap 6, and it's starting to rain. You can see the little drops coming down. Just finish off what I said about Christian there, so he hit that wall there on the inside. And straight off into the runoff area, lost his front wing, I believe, and went miles back, and he also got a lag freeze, so his race is basically over in terms of the win, providing nothing weird happens, but of course it's going to rain, so anything can happen, but we'll see. So, as I said, starting to rain now then. The gap pretty much stayed in the last few laps between me and Onage, not a lot happened. I steadily pulled the gap out to Mike behind me, and the gap pretty much stayed. It increased and decreased, decreased to me and Onage, and it's now back down to a second, so stayed around there really. I got DRS a couple of times, but never was able to get close enough to even think about an overtake really. But now it's starting to rain. You can see the raindrops starting to fall again. This localised weather is fantastic by Codemasters, it must be said. I thought it was going to be very simplistic. I thought it was going to be a sector by sector thing, so as in raining in the first sector, not in the second sector, and raining again in the third sector, for example, but it's really not. It's really, really good, must be said. Really fantastic job they've done. And we're about to see it luckily in this race. It's starting to rain, but it's not raining here, look, completely dry, no droplets at all. And I believe it's going to be started raining halfway down the straight, towards the end, towards this corner. Let's have a look. It's not on, there's a few drops now. Yeah, there is a few drops. But it's not wet enough to think about intermediate tyres or full wet tyres just yet. But I'm certainly thinking about Onage just ahead of me. In low grip conditions, of course. Potentially gives me an opportunity, which I would, of course, happily take. So I lost half a second on the last lap then, so it shows that there certainly isn't as much grip as there was. We're very wide there. Small grass on my tyres. There's only a second behind Onage though. Everyone's bunching up. Look, Victor's also, or Onage is rather closing in on Victor as well. It's all bunching up. But I should have DRS now. I don't know if Onage got it. Probably did, to be honest. Let's see. His wing hasn't opened. I'm not so sure. I know he's pulling away from me enough, I think. Yeah, I think he did get DRS, or he used all his KERS, one or the other. Okay, no, it looks like he used all his KERS. But now you can see the drops are still falling. We've got no grip. Look at that. You can tell visually, big difference to last lap. So Onage gets some oversteer, so do I on the corner, but just about managed to catch it. So now, I think it's just about time for intermediate tyres. Is it raining here? So Onage is very cautious, that allows me to get very close to him indeed. Got to run on them here, also in the slipstream. Gonna have a look up the inside to this next corner, here we go. Gonna be alongside him, but no, I've now decided to back out of it, but struggle actually to get out of his way. Of course, I decided that this is my teammate, it's not worth risking it too much. Back that over, here we go then, plenty of KERS now. With the rich fuel then, coming down his outside, so it looks like I'm alongside him. I'm past him for now, but can I stay ahead into this next corner then? Going to be braking a little bit early because of the rain, but oh, Victor's run right out wide there, and so have I. Can I stay on the circuit? Just about on the circuit. But we just managed to stay ahead. And they're going to go into the pits now. I'm going to stay out. So I stay out on my dry tyres on this wet track. Look at this, look. No grip in this final corner. This is what I did in my practice. I stayed out one lap longer than Onage, and I pulled it off. So let's see if I can do it in a league race then. I've taken a risk, undoubtedly. But of course, since me and Onage are teammates, I would have been able to stack behind him in the pits and wait for him, so I didn't want to be doing that. So I decided, he pretty much forced my hand really by being ahead, to stay out then. So it's not been too bad so far though. It's been manageable speed. I've certainly lost time, but my plan is to go to the full wets. So do one final very slow lap on options and then go straight to the full wet tyres. I'm hoping that everyone's gone for inters because it is certainly an inter track at the moment, I would say. So coming into this next corner then, this is, in the practice race this was very wet, and it is again, look at that, absolutely no grip. Lots of wheel spin on the exit, no grip whatsoever, look at that. Still running wide, I'm doing 50 miles an hour. Absolutely having to crawl. Trying to get the power down, listen to the throttle. The engine rather. Just wheel spin all over the place. Oh, massive oversteer there. Plenty of corrections. I just about managed to keep it on the tarmac. Well, with 2 wheels at least. But that was very wet. I think it wasn't so wet in that last corner, luckily. Hopefully this is a bit drier again so I can maintain my speed. But providing ownage went on intermediates behind me, all I need to do is get into the bits ahead of him and my strategy will have worked. I will have overtaken him. So let's see then. Coming to the end of the second sector, what's the gap? I think it was 18, around 18 seconds or so. Was it 16? I don't know, maybe 12. I don't know. I think it was 18. First sector I didn't actually look, and 8.2 now, so he's starting to get a lot. And once again, look how wet it is, no grip. That's okay though. Coming into the pits now, short shifting massively, and yes, so in the pits for ownage, so. And I believe, well, he is on intermediates, I'll tell you. He comes in behind me there, so that has worked for me. I've managed to overtake ownage, but what is everyone else doing? I've certainly gained a lot, so I think in theory ownage should be held up in the pits, because of course I'm ahead of him. Mechanics aren't usually good at double shuffling, as McLaren call it. But no, 2 drivers have stayed out. That's Victor and Mike. They both stayed out as I go straight to the full wet tyres. So I've saved a pit stop there. That's what I should have done in Valencia, but missed that boat unfortunately. But they've overtaken me now, but I should be able to come out in 3rd place. Yep, 3rd place. So actually I haven't gained a position overall. But I've overtaken ownage, who of course is my championship rival for this race. I was 1 point behind him in the championship, and he was leading it, so he's my championship rival. So as long as I finish ahead of him, I'm happy. But of course I would like a win if I can get it. Oh, as much points as possible really. The bigger gap between us the better, as Barcelona's actually managed to be ahead there of ownage, and I will tell you now that the guys ahead are on full wet tyres, so they went 1 lap earlier than me, straight to the full wet tyre. I did obviously more or less the opposite. Stayed out on options for an extra lap and went straight to the full wet, so I just waited out 1 more lap than them. But I've lost 5 seconds on them effectively, hasn't I? Because, well, Mikey's certainly gained on me, but Victor hasn't. Or rather, he has. He's gained, what, 6-7 seconds on me must be in that pit stop phase. Mikey's gained massively, managed to overtake me as well. So it was possibly the wrong strategy call, but it's not too bad. I've managed to overtake ownage. As I said, that was my target. And I managed to keep out of the balls. And now on the full wet tyre. And it's absolutely a full wet track now. As I've actually managed to gain hugely on Mike though. It was 5 seconds at the end of the first sector. It's now 2.9. So at this point in the race, I was wondering whether he was on intermediates. In fact, I thought he still was, to be honest, on intermediates. I expect them to pit this lap. But you can see there, they don't. They both stay out. So then I knew that they were on full wets. So my strategy didn't work in that respect. I was actually thinking I might have like a 10-second lead or so in this race, but as I said, they did rather outsmart me in those pit stops. And I'm also now on Rich, trying to catch the guys ahead if I can. So going to these slow corners then, very tricky. Of course, we had, well, qualifying in the tricky conditions, but then dry at the end, and now we've started dry and we've gone to wet, so very tricky conditions. It's not easy to adjust to these conditions. It's very tricky to be straight on it, as Barcelona is actually still ahead of ownage behind me there, so it's looking good for that. 24 seconds off my previous, of course I pitted on the last lap. It's 2.6 to Mikey now, so he's managed to maintain the gap out there. It looks like he might have lost a bit of time though. It looks like he might be a bit closer, could be wrong. But I'm certainly reeling them in, so hopefully I'll be faster in the wet and I can reel them in and just overtake. That's right off the track a little bit there, need to be careful not to do that too often. Otherwise I'm sure someone will protest and I'll get a penalty. See there, took a couple of stabs at the turn of the corner, trying not to cut the corners. Yes, it does look viciously closer, but I could be wrong, we'll see. It was 2.6 seconds. It is now 2.7 or 2.8 more or less. He's actually gained on me. So the exact opposite of what I thought. That's okay though. It's a reasonable gap. I can reel that in, I think. Over the next few laps, of course, I'm still getting used to these conditions. So is he, of course, but looks like he's gained on Victor there ahead though. The ideal if those two would start battling. Slow each other down and hopefully take each other out, ideally. Push each other off or something so I can sneak through. Struggling to find my words there. So I can sneak past them. If I get first place. So always run wide there, doesn't matter so much in the wet though. In fact, you can't even see the grass on the tyres there, but it really doesn't matter so much in the wet if you get grass on your tyres. In the dry it really does, but looks again. I did gain another 10th or 2 in that final sector. So let's see if I can push and gain some more on them. Using my KERS now then. So KERS has now failed. This is my first failure in a league race. And my KERS has failed, so it's not ideal. I usually gain a few tenths per lap from KERS, so I'm going to be losing time from that. But I suspect it's probably not bad in the wet, as in the dry, and what might be worse, I don't know. But it usually takes 2 or 3 laps for them to fix it. And then they fix it, and it's back as normal. It's not like you use it for the whole race like you would in Real Formula 1 really. They do always fix it for you. So I need that back as soon as possible. Luckily I'm still on rich though, as the lag disconnects there and I get a lag. And I believe that I am now the host, which isn't good because my connection is really terrible, as I'm sure you know if you've watched me for a while. My connection is really bad. And I believe, from what people said after the race, I'm the host. And you see there I lost 6/10 of a lag bubble. Or lag, screen lag. I believe Mikey, if he did have a lag, it wasn't as big as mine because he's now 2.9 ahead of me, so he must have gained probably 6/10. To be honest, he probably didn't get a lag there. It's a little bit frustrating for me, but there we go. I'll come around the final corner then. So what's the time going to be now? It was 2.9, it is now 2.7, so I think I've certainly got the pace on him, to be honest. He seems to be very inconsistent, so he's now skipped a few laps. And you can see 2 laps later, I've now got my KERS back. I think it was 2 laps or so. I've now got my KERS back, or a few laps at least I've got my KERS back. And I'm now very close behind Mike as he's run a little bit wide there. It's going to allow me to get close to him. Let's see. As yes indeed, I'm much later than him. Interestingly. It's going to think about going to the inside, but I think better of it, that's not going to work. Let's try and get the power down now then. Which is very tricky to do, especially when you want to try and apply KERS. And you're in the dirty air. Very, very tricky. So just 7/10 the gap now then. I can tell you that in the meantime, only just overtaken Barcelona. In fact, I might have even done that before. But he's now overtaken Barcelona, has been reeling me in bit by bit. Currently 6.7 seconds behind. And I've been reeling Mike in, but I think I had another lag screen freeze that you didn't see. About a second or so that I lost, and I had to reel it back in once again. So I keep falling back, but reeling Mike back in. So it looks like I have got the pace over him, which is good for me. But unfortunately, as you're seeing now, I just can't get anywhere near him. We know that the overtaking in Silverstone is tricky because of the dirty air effect, and it is reasonably tricky, but I found that in practice with only in the dry, overtaking wasn't too bad. You could do with a bit of a mistake from the guy ahead, but it wasn't essential. You could overtake not too bad, but in the wet I'm finding I just can't get anywhere near. You can see now it's 8/10. He's got to get pretty close under braking, but I think he might make a mistake, which is unlikely unfortunately. He's a very consistent driver, much like me, very consistent in the race, but perhaps not so light and fast in quali. As now we skip ahead a few laps once again, and I'm only 4/10. This is the closest I've been to him. I generally stayed about 7/10 or so behind him, but I managed to close him down nicely. And now just 4/10 behind him, so looking to get pretty close to him under braking. I got reasonably close. Could have definitely been closer, but this is still the closest that I've been. Shifting early then slightly, using a bit of KERS. But no, it's still way too far back. That Sauber is very quick in a straight line. We're now at 20 of 26, so we've served a lot of laps. But this track, must be said, looks dry, and I'm 6/10 down on myself, so I think this track is drying out, you know. Look at the track. I said before, when it's reflecting, you can see it there on his light, it is reflecting here, so it's full wet here. But when it's reflecting, it's ready for full wets, and when it's not like now, matte, not reflecting, quite dull, it's ready for inters. So now it looks like it's ready for inters. Looks to be, and oh, I cut the corner massively there. I can tell you what happened, I don't know how you're seeing it, but you can barely see. It's very, very dark suddenly, and the spray as well. I just couldn't see where that corner was. I just had to turn it in and hope it was the right place, and it wasn't. It was way too early. I was 6/10 behind him at 1.5, so it's certainly getting towards being inters. You can see there though, bit of shiny there. So it's not quite ready yet, but I do want to risk it. I'm going to risk it. I've gone for it. I threw Mikey a bit of a dummy in case he's watching behind. I pretended like I was going to stay out and suddenly dove into the pits very late on. Gone for intermediate tyres then. Onich hasn't pitted behind me either, so no one's pitted with me of the front runners. So this is make or break now. If I've nailed this decision, it could be the win. If I haven't, it'll be probably 4th place. I don't know who's got to beat me and pull his lead out in the championship. So here we go then. Intermediate tyres are going on. Green striped. There we go. As I said, I need to have nailed this decision. I've gone to standard then. I'm not going to do rich. I don't want to run out of fuel. I have to conserve fuel. Standard should be enough. So let's hope then. So, oh, already get masses of oversteer. I have to come right off the throttle there. I thought I'd be able to keep full throttle there and I couldn't. So that's maybe led me to be extra cautious in these corners. Oh, lots of understeer there. You can see some spray on the screen. That means it's full wet. So there's a bit of full wet track there. I think this is okay though. Look at it. It's not really reflecting too much. That's cooler than this is usually pretty wet around here. It is starting to reflect a little bit, but not too bad. No, you can see there the sun's shining on it, making it very bright, which means it isn't reflecting. Bit of reflection there, so it's just about ready for intermediates, I would say. I think I might have nailed this decision, you know. I think I might have. I missed the split time there, unfortunately. I think it was 18 or 16, one of them. But look at this. This is absolutely ready for intermediates around here. We have got a bit of spray on the screen, but that does take a while to go away. Oh, I've run wide there. They run massively wide straight across the runoff area. That slowed me down massively. I've probably lost at least a second or two there. I just missed my turning point. But he's ready. He's now down to 16.9. Yes, it was 18 seconds then before. So I've gained just over a second on Onage, that is. And he is right up with them. So they must have made some mistakes on that in-lap when they can't have had much grip with the full wet tyres. And hopefully now this is going to be me instead of lead of the race then. So as long as this isn't too wet around this final sector. Looks okay to me. Yeah. Looks fine. Here we go then. Onto the start finish straight. My DRS is now broken, but that doesn't matter. It's wet anyway. I won't be able to use it. Yes, I'm past them. I'm into the lead of the race. So fantastic call by me. I've been on it this... What's that again? I've been on it with strategy this race, haven't I? Well, I wouldn't say I nailed the first call. Probably was better to go straight to full wets, but it wasn't far off, was it? About 5 seconds off, really. So considering how extremely different the choices were, either stay out on the dries or go straight to full wets, wasn't bad at all. And I've absolutely nailed that choice. It was a bit of a risk. I considered staying out just because I need the points in the championship, but I thought, no, I think this is ready. I'm going to go for it. Went for it. And now 6.1 seconds to the second car, which is now Mikey. And Onage is in third there, so it looks like Victor might have lost out to Onage. So I've absolutely nailed this decision. And that's given me a 6-second lead with only 5 laps to go, including this one. In the Silverstone Grand Prix, in my home race no less. I've finally managed to nail that strategy call, which I've generally been bad at the last couple of races. So I just need to make sure then that he's not too much faster than me and that I can hopefully maintain the gap. And of course, I need to make sure I don't make any mistakes. As I said, there's going to be 4 laps left after this lap, so not many at all. So Mikey needs to be something like 1.5 seconds faster than me per lap, which is quite unlikely, I would say. So you can see his line starting to form already, though. A dry line already appearing. Should be interesting. So he comes to the end of lap 22 now, coming on to lap 23. Of course I'm up. And we now skip ahead to lap 24. We'll watch 2 laps from the end. You can see there's very much a dry line forming. It's not fully dry yet, but to be honest, I possibly would have pitted that lap for options if this wasn't the end of the race, but of course it's not worth it now. I'm just going to stay out. You see there, very much a dry line. So that's pushed me a bit wide, but I'm now on the wet, gives me more grip. So once again, running a bit wide there. It's very dry. Not too bad at the moment though. There is still enough moisture there to keep these tyres in. They will start overheating now. You'll see that on the right hand side. I've managed to maintain the gap to Mikey is the important bit. And Victor's managed to overtake Onage for now. As I certainly have to go a lot slower on that corner. But that's okay, we're all in the same boat. 5.6 now to Mikey. So this lap and another lap, and that's it. So he needs to now be 3 seconds per lap faster than me, which isn't inconceivable in these conditions. It's certainly possible if I make a mistake. Or perhaps he figures out a way to go on this track a lot faster than me. Let's go on this high-speed corner now. Once again, there's just about enough moisture there to keep the tyres in. They're okay. They're starting to overheat now. You can see on the right-hand side, they're going quite a light shade of green. Starting to overheat now. As this is now still wet, so possibly not even quite ready for options just yet, actually. But it's not far off it, I shouldn't imagine. If it isn't, I think, yes, you probably would be faster on options right now as long as you could stick to the racing line. Now 5.5 to Mikey, so he's pulling me in a little bit. This is very dry here now. Look at that, completely dry along here. Look at this. This is completely dry, absolutely bone dry. Which means I can't get slowed down or get some rear locking there. The rear comes out at me. When that happens, sometimes best not to correct it, which is what I did. I just kept turning to the corner as still massively dry. Look at this. This is completely dry. This is absolutely ready for dry tyres now. But as I said, this is the final lap. It wouldn't be worth me coming in. 4.8 to Mikey now, so he's certainly gaining in that final corner with that mistake I made. Just need to make sure. Oh, we're on wide there. Just to make sure I get on this lap. And be within 4 seconds of Mikey's lap time. I'll be okay. I've now decided to start looking for the dry line, wet line rather, to cool the tyres down, and also it actually gives you more grip on the wet. Weirdly, it shouldn't. That's a bit broken, to be honest. So there you see, as soon as I get on the dry, I run wide.
You're 5 seconds ahead of the car behind.
Look at that, no grip, and there you go. Look, as soon as it gets to the wet, it gives me grip. It's not actually right, regardless of the conditions. Intermediates, regardless of the tyres rather, you always get more grip on the dry than you do on the wet. The tyres might start overheating, of course, and that will make you lose grip, but that's what makes you lose grip in these conditions. The heat of the tyre, the overheating rather of the tyre, not the fact that the track's dry, so it's a little bit unrealistic from Codemasters there, but it's okay. Having to manage it now, it looks like I've still got around 5 second lead on Mike then, and I've got some curves left to use down the straight. Oh, get some oversteer there, trying to get onto the wet. 3.9 down on my previous, so it's quite a bit slower. It's dodging across the race line, then trying to get onto the wet so I can brake for this next corner. As you see, as soon as I get on the dry, it pushes me straight across. And once again, look at how dry that is now. 5.6 still to Mikey, so 1 sector to go. Just need to not spin, and I'll be there. But look at this, trying to find the wet, but the dry line's too wide now. I can't get onto the wet. I've just about managed it. And here we go, then cross the line to take the win for my home Grand Prix. First place in Silverstone, as you can see there. Did manage a fastest lap, but not far off it. 3/10 or so off it, which was Victor's. And 6 seconds more or less into Mikey, and only winded up finishing third. Very interesting race in the end with the conditions. And you can see here, this is now the championship. So you can see there along the top, just below the flags, the hashtag N/. That's supposed to be NA, not applicable, but that's because those are wet dry races. I need to make an icon for them. So that's what the wet dry races so far this season. And you can see there, I'm now 9 points ahead of Ownage, so I've managed to take back the lead of the championship then. And this is now the biggest lead I've ever had in an Apex Racing League season. But it's not much at all, of course. If Ownage was to win and I was to come second in the next race, that'd be right back down to 2 points. So it's certainly not a lot at all. So I need to make sure I push to stay ahead. One thing to note as well, look. 4 wins so far this season. 4 out of 8. So I've won half of the races so far. Absolutely fantastic. I didn't expect to have that. My aim, well, was to do what Ownage is doing. Look, he's got lots of podiums. He's only once been off the podium. Only 1 win, but only once off the podium. So absolutely fantastic from him. That's what I wanted to do, just be consistent. But unfortunately, I haven't managed that, have I? I've had 5th there in China when I was just off the pace. Bahrain, of course, got my penalty. That was a 7th in the end. Spain, or Valencia rather. Of course, I got hit off the first corner. Wasn't really my fault, but still, that was off the podium as well in 4th place. But pretty much the rest have been wins. There's only one on the podium in 2nd place there. So not what I wanted for, but I'm still in the lead of the championship. I need to just try and make sure now that I get a few more wins ideally. But I'll remain consistent for the remainder of the season. And hopefully, I can clinch the title. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.